stars Zoe Kravitz as Angela, a tech worker with agoraphobia who discovers recorded evidence of a violent crime, but is met with resistance when she tries to report it. Seeking justice, she must do the thing she fears the most. She must leave her apartment. This is written by David Kepp, and it was directed by Steven Soderbergh, continuing the director's trend of cranking out at least one movie a year since returning from his very brief retirement in 2017. And while an original film, this is essentially the duo's take on films like Blowout or Rear Window, but done for the COVID-19 era. The film takes place at the height of the pandemic and extensively references it, especially as something that adds to Angela's agoraphobia. And despite being a pretty contained film, it's actually not too far off from the sort of movies Soderbergh's done in the past, as he's gone from bigger budget extravaganzas like the Ocean's movies and Side Effects to stripped down micro-budget productions, and this falls under the latter category. And with this being during the pandemic, it's arguably one of his most stripped down productions to date, considering it primarily just takes place in Angela's apartment, with only a few ventures out of the area much later on. Which means a lot of the film relies on Zoe Kravitz's performance and how much suspense Soderbergh's able to evoke from just being in the apartment, which is always a tricky thing. And the result is fairly successful, though far from perfect. There's no question of Soderbergh's directing skills here, as he manages to get some great shots within the apartment of Angela absolutely losing it. And Zoe Kravitz gives a solid performance as well, even if there are extended periods of time where she has no one else to work off of. She has a casual relationship with her neighbor Terry, played by Byron Bowers, and we see her interact with coworkers via video chats, but for much of the time, she's in the apartment and she's writing solo. Which leads to some issues I had with the film. While I do appreciate filmmakers in general tried to make the most out of the lockdowns while they were in place, with some exceptions, nearly every single movie that was shot during this period of time clearly feels limited due to real-world constraints. And here, even at 89 minutes, the film feels like it meanders for a good stretch when it's just Angela on her own. It's supposed to show how she's losing her mind, and Soderbergh's camera work is fantastic here at conveying that, but it's clear when we go for stretches where not much happens, that there was only so much that could be done with the story, and it felt more like an exercise in both acting and directing for Kravitz and Soderbergh. The emotional impact will sometimes feel limited, and that's especially evident considering we've now seen this setup so many times before, beyond films like Blowout or Rear Window, where it's someone suffering an illness or an injury and they hear or see what they think is a murder. Outside of the technology used, there isn't anything I'd say this does that distinguishes this from similar films, making it feel by the numbers to a degree. It adds nothing new to the conversation. Now, when the film gets to move beyond its primary setting, that's where I think it's at its best. Once Angela attempts to report the crime to an executive at her company, played by Rita Wilson, it gets much more entertaining. The problem is how late it comes in the movie. While the third act allows the film to end on a much stronger note than it began, it becomes clear that considering how late we get to this point, that this could have worked much better as a 30-minute short, with a condensed first and second act that would have given it a tighter feel. Because you could have clearly cut parts of this movie out and it would have had the same effect. So it makes Kimi a mixed bag for me, though with the positives just outweighing the negatives. For those who enjoy these homebound claustrophobic thrillers, you may really enjoy this, as there's plenty to commend here, from Kravitz's performance, Soderbergh's direction, and its tense third act. However, it does take too long to get to that third act, feeling more like a production exercise than anything up until that point. When it works, it is entertaining, and because it ends on a stronger note than it began, I'd say it's still worth a watch. But it's also not a must-see or anything. Kimi gets a 6.5 out of 10. So let me know, did you see Kimi, or are you planning to see it, and what were your thoughts? Is it one of your new favorite Steven Soderbergh movies? Is it one of your new favorite Zoe Kravitz movies? Let me know in the comments below so we can discuss. Also, if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and share it, and for more movie reviews and film discussion, please make sure to hit that subscribe button to stay updated. Thanks for watching everyone, and keep having fun with film.